Hi folks, I'm Leo Orsi and welcome to the Fisherman's Kitchen. Today we're going to be fixing the classic Point Judith fried calamari. It's actually the official appetizer of the state of Rhode Island, and it's oh so good. Now there are so many ways to fix calamari, but today's recipe is simple and it's delicious. It produces calamari that is firm and tender on the inside, but light and crispy on the outside. You're going to love this. Here we go. So we're going to start with pre-cleaned squid tubes. Now you can buy these in any good seafood store, frozen, and sometimes fresh. I have had the heads removed. A lot of folks like to cook the heads as well. I don't. If you do, you want to make sure and take out the little beak in the head. It's a very hard part that the squid uses to chew its food. But otherwise, it's just a pre-cleaned squid tube, and it's been washed. And one of the things I do first is I just cut off the end like this so that I can, just before we cook, I could pre-rinse the inside to make sure that they're all nice and fresh. There we go.
And so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to cut the squid tubes into 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch squid rings, which are about perfect for calamari. Don't want them any thinner than that because they'll overcook. See? Look, just like this. Perfect.
So the next step is we're going to soak the calamari rings in some buttermilk and an egg. So we put the egg in there and some buttermilk. I would say probably about, a cup and a half maybe is going to be fine. And what that does is it helps the breading to better adhere to the squid rings when they're frying. So we're just going to go ahead and mix that in pretty well. And then just simply add all of the calamari in to soak. Probably for 20 minutes to a half an hour would be just about perfect. And we'll put these in the refrigerator while we prepare the other ingredients. So while we have the calamari soaking in buttermilk in the refrigerator, a couple of things that I like to add to the fried calamari recipe that I actually learned from the Spring House Hotel out on Rhode Island. It just kicks the whole thing up a notch. Some fried zucchini and also some jalapenos. So what we're going to do is to go ahead and chop the zucchini into little quarter pieces, and the same with the jalapenos.
So you'll find that about 1/2 inch size cubes of chopped zucchini will fry to perfection in the same amount of time required to fry the calamari, so that they're all ready at the same time. And the same applies for jalapenos, except 1/4 inch slices are preferred for the jalapenos. And whenever you're slicing hot peppers, always remember not to touch your eyes. If you do, you'll remember it forever. I also like to remove the seeds from the larger sections of the jalapenos. This is where the real heat resides in most peppers, and it can sometimes be overwhelming. And as Jacques Pepin advises, it's good to see how hot those peppers are because they vary in heat from time to time. And you may want to add more or less depending. And there we have it, ready to join the buttermilk calamari. Oh, but remember, you touch peppers. You got to wash your hands so you don't end up touching hot peppers and fire in your eyes later on. So we'll bring out the calamari in the buttermilk mixture, and then we'll add the cut zucchini and jalapenos and let them soak until we're ready to fry. We'll mix them up a little bit and make them happy. Now the next step requires a sophisticated piece of kitchen equipment, a gallon plastic freezer bag. And I like to use the freezer variety because they're stronger and less apt to break. To make the coating mix for the calamari, I start with a pre-seasoned coating mix named Fish Chick. It's a seasoned mixture of wheat flour and a favored ingredient of many restaurants for the same purpose. This is a small 1-pound bag and about 3½ cups, which is a little more than you might need for one appetizer serving, but I'll use the whole bag today. Now the Fish Chick breading mix is good enough to use on its own, but to really kick up the flavor, I like to add several more seasonings that just raise it to a whole nother level. I'll start with about 3 tablespoons of garlic powder. Ooh, dusty. And then 3 tablespoons of onion powder. There we go. And then I'll put in a little cayenne pepper just to kick it up a notch, as some other chef would say. Ooh, and then maybe a little more, why not? And then finally about a teaspoon of accent seasoning. Accent really brings out the flavor in many foods. I love it. And there we go. That's it. Now it's time to shake it all up and make sure all the seasonings are fully mixed together. Okay, we're having too much fun here. But that's it. It's time to fry the calamari. So while we're waiting for the frying oil to get up to temperature, I'll start to add the calamari and vegetables from the buttermilk to the breading mixture. You want to drain off as much of the buttermilk as possible before putting the calamari into the breading. And by the way, you don't need one of those expensive fancy frying machines to do this. A nice high-sided stock pot will do nicely. The oil that I use for frying is canola oil or peanut oil. Canola oil is a little less expensive. And I'll bring the oil temperature up to about 365 degrees before adding the calamari. Now, as you can see, once the calamari and vegetables are in the breading mixture, you need to give them a vigorous shaking for quite a bit here, just to make sure that everything is sufficiently coated. So next I'll check the oil temperature to make sure that it's around 365 degrees, and it's right there. Perfect. Then I'll add the breaded calamari and vegetable pieces to the oil, and see how nice and lightly coated they are? That's what the egg buttermilk mixture will help to achieve. So, into the oil with the calamari and veggies, just a few at a time, because adding them all at once could cause the oil to boil over, and we certainly don't want that. I'm trying to add them away from myself also, because it helps keep any splashing hot oil in that direction as well, and away from me. So I'll gently stir the calamari at first to prevent individual pieces from sticking together, and then let them fry and brown beautifully. It'll only take 3 to 4 minutes at the most. You don't want to fry them any longer than that, or the squid will become tough and chewy. Look at that. The first batch is golden brown and done. Carefully remove them from the oil. Place them on a wire rack to cool and drain of any remaining oil. Oh, and next, always season your fried food right after it comes out of the fryer. Emerald taught me that. Bam, with a little salt. Yeah. And the second batch is done, looking beautiful, and I'll place those also on the wire rack. Perfect. Look at that. And of course, we'll season them as well. And that's it. That's it. So here's our prize calamari, beautifully done and ready to enjoy. And don't forget to add dipping sauces, warm marinara and chilled seafood cocktail sauce. Oh man.
And now comes my favorite part, the taste test. Let's see how they are. Oh my. Tender on the inside, deliciously crunchy on the outside, and perfectly seasoned. Folks, try this at home. You will love it. And remember, you can get this great recipe and many other great recipes in the Fisherman's Kitchen cookbook right here at OrsiFisherman'sKitchen.com. So until next time, enjoy. Man, these are good.